Those of you who have been in the Crocodile Army for a while already know that I travel a lot for work, and as much as I can for pleasure. I give a lot of advice to my friends and relatives on the subject of travel, and I encourage people that have an interest in it to get started sooner rather than later. Don't wait until you have arthritis to hike in the Alps, and don't wait until you have 4 kids to go see what Amsterdam has to offer, if those things are what you're into. I've taken over 40 plane trips just in the 3 years that I've been making YouTube videos regularly, and now you know why I only have time for a few videos a month. There are certainly some unpleasant aspects of air travel, but few are more debilitating than suffering from a fear of flying. It can be difficult to overcome, but unless you want to spend 2 weeks crossing the Atlantic by ship to Europe, you don't have very many reasonable options. I haven't always been as confident as I am now to get on a plane, especially before I had a lot of experience with it. Thanks in part to 2 work trips to Australia and a vacation to Hawaii, I figured out that I actually spent about 1.5% of the year 2010 above 30,000 feet. I definitely don't want to spend that kind of time racked by fear of imminent death. Statistics like commercial air travel being much safer mile for mile than car travel are certainly true, but not very compelling to the phobic. What helped me be more comfortable was paying attention to and learning the normal patterns of flight. Choose a window seat close to the wing if you can, and pay attention to every change in speed, altitude, and wing flap position. Oh, and keep this in mind during turbulence. Ever heard of a commercial plane crash just due to turbulence? Neither have I. Of course, what can be even more nerve-wracking is the airport security gauntlet, or what I affectionately refer to as the security display in airports. I've seen a lot of changes over the years, and the rules just get more and more cumbersome. I remember the time when I didn't have to take my shoes or belt off, or put liquids in a bag by themselves. More recently, they started to use those backscatter x-ray machines. I used to try to avoid them and get in lines where they were just using a regular metal detector. There were times I couldn't avoid them, but I was so adamant about not using them at first that I would actually opt out and get a pat-down instead. I'd like to tell you that I stuck to my principles on that, but avoiding it became too annoying and time-consuming. I like to be at least a little bit selective about who sees me practically naked, but hey, I guess the TSA is trustworthy, would never let pictures like that leak. Well, they're professionals, right? A couple years ago, I was flying from Columbus, Ohio, and a TSA agent saw an attractive woman standing right in front of me in the security line. He came over trying to be all suave and asked her where she was flying to. To her credit, she knew she was being hit on immediately, before I had figured it out, and she didn't tell him where she was going. He then gave her some line about being paid to ask these kind of questions, but she wasn't buying it. He was trying to be charming about it, but come on, I'm pretty sure he was supposed to be frisking brown people and lying about being a random Czech instead of hitting on her. Then a few months ago in the Rochester airport, a TSA agent asked me what hockey team I liked. And when I told him I guessed the Caps because they're my home team, he joked that I might have to go through a special screening because of that, which gave all the TSA agents near us a good laugh. I wonder what he would have said if I joked back and said, hey, you probably should screen me extra because I got a bomb the size of a watermelon in my bag. I'd probably still be in Gitmo. I'm not really one of those types that talk seriously about the country turning into a police state, hoping the American illusion of total independence might actually do some good for once, when applied to this area. My blood does curdle a little, though, when I hear things like I did at the airport in Frankfurt, Germany last year. People were grumbling about having to go through a second security line to get to the area with flights going to the United States, as it is in many airports around the world. And one beautiful, bubbly blonde woman said cheerily to her young daughter, "We'll do anything as long as they keep us safe, right, honey?" Despite my irritation with the sentiment, I had to stifle a chuckle at my next thought. I know a TSA agent in Columbus who would be happy to test that statement.